The crystal spires of Serenity Prime caught the morning light like diamonds. Ambassador Yuna Kim stood on her balcony, watching the floating gardens drift slowly between the towers. The Kythera had built their world to be perfect. No wars, no weapons, just endless pursuit of knowledge and beauty. For 300 years, they had lived in peace. That peace died when the black ships appeared in their sky. Yuna felt her heart sink as she counted them. Hundreds of dark vessels hung above her world like storm clouds. She had seen ships like these in the old records. Vorthak, Empire warships. The insectoid race that conquered worlds for sport. Her communicator buzzed. All council members, to the emergency chamber immediately. Yuna rushed through corridors filled with panicked Kythera. Their reptilian faces showed the same terror she felt. None of them had ever seen a real warship before. Their own vessels were built for research and exploration, not fighting. The council chamber buzzed with frightened voices. Elder Zephys stood at the center, his old scales pale with fear. "They have sent us terms," he announced. "Complete surrender in 12 hours, or they will begin orbital bombardment." "What do they want?" someone asked. "Everything," Zephys replied. "Our world, our people as slaves, our technology. They offer nothing in return but quick deaths for those who resist." Council member Thane spoke up. "We have no military. Our fastest ships cannot outrun their fighters. We cannot evacuate everyone in time." Yuna thought of the millions of Kythera below. Children in the schools, artists in their studios, scholars in their libraries, all helpless against the nightmare above them. "There must be something," she said. "Some ally we can call." The room fell silent. The Kythera had always been alone in this part of space. They knew of other peaceful species, but none with the power to help them. Elder Zephys shook his head. "The nearest military force is the hegemony. 6 months away, even at maximum speed. The Vorthak will not wait." Yuna closed her eyes, searching her memory. Ancient texts spoke of other races, lost civilizations, myths, and legends. Then she remembered something from the old exploration records. "What about the Deathworld signals?" she asked. The council looked confused. Thane frowned. "You mean the transmissions from Sector 7742? Those are just random noise." Thang Tane 40. "Barning, not FS." "No," Yuna said, standing. "I studied them at the archive. There are patterns, mathematical sequences, music. Someone lives there. On a death world?" Elder Zephys looked skeptical. "Nothing can survive on those planets. The radiation alone would kill us in minutes." Yuna's hearts were beating fast. What if something could? What if there really is a species tough enough to live on a death world? The room erupted in arguments. Half the council called it madness. The other half pointed out they had no other options. "Even if they exist," Thane said, "why would Deathworlders help us? They would probably be as brutal as the Vorthak." Yuna thought about the patterns she had studied. The mathematical beauty of the signals. The complexity of their music. "Intelligence that advanced cannot be purely savage," she said. "And if they live on a death world, they know what it means to fight for survival." Elder Zephys raised his hand for silence. "We have 11 hours. If there is even a small chance, we must try." He looked at Yuna. "You studied their signals. Can you create a message they would understand?" Far across the galaxy, Dr. Chen Wei sat in the Deep Space Monitoring Station, orbiting Earth's moon. His job was to listen for signs of intelligent life among the stars. For 20 years, he had heard nothing but cosmic static. Today was different. The signal came from a direction they had never monitored before. Not the random mathematical patterns Earth had been sending to that sector for decades. This was complex, desperate, and clearly intelligent. Chen's hands shook as he recorded the transmission. The aliens used mathematical concepts Earth had discovered, but in ways no human had thought of. They were showing him star charts, tactical displays, and something that looked like a distress call. The images that followed made Chen's blood freeze. Massive ships surrounding a beautiful world. Recordings of other planets. Burned and lifeless. Bodies in the ruins of crystal cities. An entire species systematically wiped out. Then came the final part of the message. The aliens had somehow learned basic English. The words were slow and careful, translated through mathematics and desperation. "People of the Death World," the voice said. "We are the Kythera. We face extinction. The Vorthak Empire will destroy us in hours. We know nothing of your people except that you survive where others cannot. If you have mercy, if you have honor, please help us. We do not ask for much. We ask only to live." Chen stared at the screen. First contact. After centuries of searching, aliens had found humanity, and they were calling for help. He activated the emergency protocols. Within minutes, every world leader on Earth was watching the transmission. The images of destroyed worlds played over and over. The final plea echoed in every language. President Martinez spoke first. "How long do we have?" "The transmission is 8 hours old," Chen reported. "They said they had 12 hours when they sent it. That gives us 4 hours to reach them, if we can reach them at all." "Distance?" asked General Torres. 47 light-years, Chen replied. "Our fastest experimental drives might make it in 3 hours. But we've never tested them at that range." The room fell silent. Earth had never traveled beyond their own solar system. Their technology was untested. They had no idea what they would face. Admiral Sarah Mitchell leaned forward. "The signal showed hundreds of enemy ships. Even if we could reach them, we'd be outnumbered. 1,000 to 1. President Martinez looked around the room. "Show me the images again." They watched the recordings of Vorthak conquests, cities reduced to ash, families torn apart, children running in terror before being cut down by energy weapons. "No," Martinez said quietly. "No, this will not happen again." "Sir," Admiral Mitchell said, "we don't know if we can stop it. We don't even know if our weapons will work against their technology." Martinez stood. "Then we learn quickly. How long to mobilize our fleets?" 2 hours for the nearest ships," Torres replied. "But sir, this could be a trap. We don't know these aliens." "We know enough," Martinez said. "They came to us for help. They're about to be wiped out by monsters. That's all I need to know." The orders went out across Earth's military networks. Every ship that could fight. Every weapon that could be spared. Humanity was going to war for people they had never met, in a cause that was not their own. Dr. Chen sent a reply to the desperate Kythera signal. 4 simple words that would echo across the galaxy. "Help is coming. Hold on." The human fleet assembled faster than anyone thought possible. Ships from every Earth nation joined together in space, above their blue world. The experimental FTL drives hummed with dangerous energy. No one knew if they would survive the jump to alien space. Admiral Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the flagship Armstrong. Around him, officers worked at stations designed for exploration, not war. Earth's weapons were built to fight each other, not alien empires. But they were all humanity had. Jump calculations complete. Reported Navigation Officer Park Jin-ho. 47 light-years. In 2 hours, 40 minutes. Torres nodded. The drives would run beyond safe limits. Some ships might not make it, but the aliens had asked for help, and Earth would answer. "Send the signal to all ships," Torres ordered. "We jump in 60 seconds. Across the fleet, human crews made final preparations. Marine Sergeant Emily Rodriguez checked her squad's gear one more time. They carried standard Earth weapons, designed for fighting other humans. She hoped they would work against giant insects. "You scared, Sarge?" asked Private Williams. Rodriguez looked out the viewport at the alien stars ahead. "Terrified," she admitted. "But those things are murdering innocent people. That makes it simple." The jump began. Reality twisted around the human ships as they tore through space at impossible speeds. Some crew members passed out from the stress, others held on and prayed. On Serenity Prime, Ambassador Yuna Kim watched the Vorthak ships move into attack position. Only 2 hours remained of their deadline. No response had come to their desperate message. "Perhaps the Deathworlders do not exist," Elder Zephys said sadly. Yuna refused to give up hope. "They will come. I know they will." General Cruex of the Vorthak Empire studied the peaceful world below. His insect features showed satisfaction. Another easy conquest for his record. The Kythera had no weapons, no defenses, no allies. Their surrender would be simple. "Begin the demonstration bombardment," he ordered. "Destroy one of their smaller cities. Show them what happens to those who keep us waiting." The Vorthak warships charged their weapons. Energy cannons capable of cracking planets aimed at the crystal spires below. Cruex smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Then his sensor operator buzzed in alarm. "General, unknown ships entering the system." Crux looked at his tactical display. Dozens of strange vessels appeared from hyperspace. Their design was unlike anything in his databases. Sleek, fast, and clearly built for war. "Identify them," he ordered. "Unknown, sir. No match for any known species in our records." The human fleet formed up between the Vorthak ships and Serenity Prime. Admiral Torres opened a channel to the planet below. "Kythera vessels. This is Admiral Torres of the Earth Defense Force. We received your distress call. Please identify your ships so we don't target you by mistake." Ambassador Kim nearly fainted with relief. "They came," she whispered. "They actually came." She activated her communicator. "Earth ships. This is Ambassador Yuna Kim of the Kythera Federation. We have no military vessels. All our ships are civilian research craft. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much." Torres felt something tighten in his chest. The alien's voice carried such gratitude, such desperate hope. These people had called across the void for help, and humanity had answered. He opened another channel, this time to the Vorthak fleet. "Vorthak Empire vessels. This is Admiral Torres. You will cease your attack on this world and withdraw immediately." General Cruex laughed, a harsh, chittering sound. "What species are you, little ships? I have never seen your design. No matter. You have entered Vorthak space. Surrender now, and we will give you quick deaths." Torres felt his jaw clench. The alien's tone was exactly what he expected from the recordings. Arrogant, cruel, and completely without mercy. "We are humans from Earth," he replied. "And you have 30 seconds to begin withdrawing, or we will remove you ourselves." Cruex chittered louder. "Humans? From a single world? I have conquered 47 planets. Little human. My fleet number's in the hundreds. What can one world do against the might of the Vorthak Empire?" Torres looked at the tactical display. The alien was right about the numbers. Human ships were outnumbered 10 to 1. But the recordings had shown what these monsters did to peaceful people. "You're about to find out," Torres said. The Vorthak general studied the human ships on his scanner. They were smaller than his battleships, but they moved in perfect formation. Their energy signatures were strange, unfamiliar. "Perhaps they are from a military species," his tactical officer suggested. "Should we call for reinforcements?" Cruex waved a claw dismissively. "Look at them. A few dozen ships from a single world. We will crush them and add their planet to our empire. Begin the attack." The Vorthak fleet opened fire first. Hundreds of energy beams lanced toward the human ships. The humans scattered, moving faster than the Vorthok expected. Most shots missed completely. Lieutenant Park Jin-ho piloted his fighter through the alien fire like he was born for it. The Vorthok weapons were powerful but slow. Human reflexes, trained on a world where everything tried to kill them, proved superior. "Phoenix Squadron, attack run on the lead battleship," came Rodriguez's voice over the comm. Park rolled his fighter and dove toward the massive Vorthok vessel. Its armor looked thick, but Earth weapons had been designed to penetrate anything humans could build. The first human missiles struck Vorthok shields and exploded in brilliant flashes. The shields held, but fluctuated. The aliens had strong defenses, but they were not invincible. General Cruex felt his ship shake from the impacts. Impossible! How do such small ships carry so much firepower? His weapons officer looked confused. "Sir, their attack patterns make no sense. They're targeting our weak points with impossible accuracy." On the Armstrong, Admiral Torres watched his tactical display with grim satisfaction. Human ships darted between the slower Vorthok vessels like wolves among cattle. Earth's fighters were smaller and faster, designed for the brutal combat of their homeworld. "All ships, focus fire on their command vessel," Torres ordered. "Let's talk to their general again." The concentrated human attack hammered Cruex's flagship. His shields failed under the assault, and hull armor began to crack. Alarms screamed across his bridge. "How?" he demanded. "How do they know exactly where to hit us?" Torres opened the channel again. "General Cruex, this is your final warning. Withdraw now, or we will destroy every ship in your fleet." Cruex's mandibles clicked in rage. "You dare threaten me? I will personally feed you to my larvae." He turned to his weapons officer. "Target their flagship. Use the planet killer cannon. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. The massive weapon on Cruex's ship began to charge. Energy that could crack continents built up in its core. Torres saw the energy readings spike. "All ships, evasive action. They're charging a heavy weapon." But the shot wasn't aimed at the human fleet. Cruex had targeted Serenity Prime itself. "If I cannot have this world, no one can," he roared. Ambassador Kim watched in horror as the terrible weapon aimed at her home. All those millions of innocent people below. All their art, their knowledge, their dreams. The planet killer fired. Lieutenant Park Jin-ho threw his fighter directly into the beam's path. The energy vaporized his ship instantly, but the explosion disrupted the weapon's focus. Instead of cracking the planet, the scattered energy only scorched empty atmosphere. Park's sacrifice saved millions of lives, but it cost him everything. Torres felt something cold and hard settle in his chest as he watched Park's ship disappear. The young officer had died to save people he had never met. Now these monsters would learn what happened when they killed humans who were trying to help others. "All ships," Torres said, his voice deadly calm. "Change of mission. We are no longer here to drive off an enemy fleet." He paused, thinking of Park's sacrifice and the millions of innocent people below. "We are here to make sure the Vorthok Empire never threatens anyone again." The death of Lieutenant Park changed everything. The human fleet moved differently now, like predators that had tasted blood. Their formations tightened into hunting patterns that the Vorthok had never seen before. General Cruex watched his tactical display with growing unease. The humans should have been retreating after losing a ship. Instead, they were advancing. Their attack runs became more aggressive, more precise. "Sir," his sensor operator buzzed nervously, "the human ships are moving in coordination patterns our computers cannot predict. They seem to know what we're going to do before we do it." Cruex studied the display. The alien was right. Human fighters swept through his formations like they could read Vorthok minds. Every time his ships tried to target them, the humans had already moved. Impossible, he muttered. No species fights like this. Sergeant Rodriguez watched the enemy fleet through her transport's viewport. Her Marines were ready for boarding operations, but first, they had to get close enough. The Vorthak ships were huge, bristling with weapons. "Sarge," said Private Williams, "how are we supposed to get inside those things?" Rodriguez pointed to her tablet, which showed schematics of Vorthak vessels. Earth's computers had analyzed the enemy ships during the first battle. "See those docking bays? Their shields don't cover them completely. We go in fast and hard." The plan was insane. Human transports would have to fly directly through Vorthak weapons fire to reach the docking bays. Most species would call it suicide, but humans were not most species. Admiral Torres coordinated the assault from his bridge. "Boarding teams Alpha through Echo, you are clear for approach. Fighter squadrons will provide cover." The human transports shot forward like bullets. Vorthak weapons tried to track them, but the small ships moved too fast. They used their own fighters as cover, weaving between friendly and enemy vessels in patterns that confused Vorthak targeting systems. Captain Mitchell's transport was first to reach a Vorthak battleship. The docking bay shields flickered as her pilot punched through them at maximum speed. "Go, go, go!" Human Marines poured out of their transport into the alien ship. The Vorthak crew had never faced borders before. Their species conquered planets from orbit. They weren't prepared for close combat. The first Vorthak soldier Rodriguez encountered was 3 meters tall and covered in natural armor. It carried a weapon that could punch through tank plating. The insect warrior should have been unstoppable. It lasted less than 3 seconds against a human Marine squad. Rodriguez moved through the alien corridors like death itself. Her team knew exactly where to go. Earth's computers had mapped Vorthak ship layouts during their scans. Every weak point, every vital system, every escape route. "Team 2, secure the engine room," she ordered. "Team 3, take their communications. Team 4, find their bridge." The Vorthak crew fought back, but they had never encountered anything like human soldiers. Humans moved through their ship like they owned it. They used Vorthak weapons better than the Vorthak did. They turned the ship's own systems against its crew. On the bridge, General Cruex received panicked reports from across his fleet. Human boarders had taken 3 ships already. His crews were retreating from their own vessels. "How many humans are on each ship?" he demanded. 20 to 30 per vessel, his aide replied. Cruex stared at him. 30 humans are defeating crews of 300 Vorthak warriors?" The aide's mandibles clicked nervously. "Yes, sir. Our soldiers report the humans fight like demons. They know our ship layouts better than we do. They anticipate our tactics. They turn our weapons against us." Ambassador Kim watched the battle from her observation deck. The human ships moved through the Vorthak fleet like sharks through fish. Every few minutes, another enemy vessel went dark as human boarders took control. "How are they doing this?" Elder Zephys asked in amazement. "The Vorthak are legendary warriors. They have conquered half the galaxy." Kim thought about the old legends of Deathworlds, places where evolution created the ultimate survivors. "Look how they move," she said. "Every action has a purpose. No wasted motion. No hesitation. They fight like they were born for it." On the human flagship, Admiral Torres received reports from his boarding teams. The news was better than he had hoped. "Admiral," came Rodriguez's voice over the comm, "we've secured the Vorthak battleship Destroyer of Worlds. Their crew surrendered after we took the bridge." "Any casualties?" Torres asked. 2 injured, sir. Minor wounds. The enemy fought hard, but they didn't know how to fight us." Torres nodded. Human soldiers had trained their entire lives for combat. Every human child learned to fight before they learned to read. Earth was a world that bred warriors. General Cruex felt his confidence cracking as more ships fell to human borders. His mighty fleet was being taken apart, ship, by a handful of Deathworlders. "Order all ships to fall back," he commanded. But the humans didn't let them retreat. Human fighters swarmed around Vorthak's ships like angry insects. Every time a Vorthak vessel tried to pull away, human weapons disabled its engines. Captain Mitchell's team had reached the bridge of their captured battleship. The Vorthak officers cowered before the human soldiers. These were beings who had ordered the deaths of billions, now trembling like children. "Please," the Vorthak captain begged. Mitchell looked at him with cold eyes. "Where were your offers of surrender when you attacked defenseless planets?" She turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to their fleet. Tell them we have their people. If they want them back alive, they can discuss terms." General Cruex received the human message with growing dread. The Deathworlders had captured 6 of his ships and hundreds of his soldiers. But the message didn't ask for his surrender. Instead, the humans made him an offer. "General Cruex," came Admiral Torres's voice, "we have some of your people. They seem to think the galaxy belongs to their empire." Cruex felt ice in his blood. "What do you want?" "Simple," Torres replied. "Call your entire fleet here. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon you can find. We want to settle this once and for all." The Vorthak general couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You want me to bring more ships? You are already outnumbered 10-1. Torres's voice carried a chill that made Cruex's armor rattle. "General, you just tried to murder an entire planet full of innocent people. Do you really think the odds matter to us anymore?" Cruex looked at his remaining ships. Half his fleet was already captured or destroyed. The humans had shown they could take Vorthak vessels at will. But if he called for reinforcements, brought his entire battle group to this system, "You would face impossible odds," he said. "We've faced impossible odds our entire existence," Torres replied. "That's what living on a death world teaches you. But you wouldn't understand that, would you? Your people only fight those weaker than yourselves." The human admiral paused, and when he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of an entire world's rage. "You picked the wrong species to threaten, General. And you picked the wrong planet to attack. Now you're going to learn why the rest of the galaxy calls us Deathworlders." Cruex stared at his communicator. The humans wanted him to bring his entire fleet to face them. It was madness. No species would willingly face such odds. But as he looked at his tactical display, seeing ship after ship marked as captured or destroyed, he realized something that chilled him to his core. The humans weren't afraid of impossible odds. They preferred them. General Cruex made the call. Within hours, the largest Vorthak fleet in their empire's history assembled around Serenity Prime. Over 2,000 warships, each one designed to crack worlds and break civilizations. Admiral Torres watched them arrive with grim satisfaction. "Signal the Kythera ships to retreat to minimum safe distance," he ordered. "This is going to get messy." Ambassador Kim stood on the bridge of the evacuation vessel, watching the human fleet prepare for battle. 47 human ships against 2,000 Vorthak vessels. The numbers were insane. "Why are they doing this?" Elder Zephys asked. Kim thought about the transmission they had intercepted from the human fleet. Admiral Torres, speaking to his captains, just before the Vorthak reinforcements arrived. "They asked for our help," Torres had said. "These people reached across the void to find us. They had no one else to turn to. And those monsters tried to murder them just for existing. That makes it our responsibility now." The human fleet spread out in a defensive formation around the planet. Each ship took a position that would allow them to protect the world below, no matter which direction the attack came from. General Cruex studied the tactical display with his senior officers. The humans had positioned themselves perfectly to defend the planet, but their formation left them vulnerable to concentrated attack. "They fight with honor," admitted Admiral Vex, his second in command. "But honor will not save them from our numbers. Crew X nodded. Begin the assault. All ships. Maximum firepower. Crush them quickly. The Vorthak fleet opened fire. 2,000 ships unleashing enough energy to sterilize continents. The space around Serenity Prime lit up like a star. When the light faded, the human ships were still there. Impossible! Crew X snarled. Nothing could survive that bombardment. His sensor operator's mandibles clicked nervously. Sir, they seem to have some kind of defensive technology. Energy shields. Unlike anything in our databases. Admiral Torres smiled grimly as his ship's barriers held against the alien assault. Earth scientists had built those shields to protect against solar flares and cosmic radiation. They had never tested them against weapons fire, but they were holding. All ships, return fire, Torres ordered. The human counterattack was precise and devastating. Instead of trying to match Vorthak firepower, human ships targeted specific weaknesses. They hit shield generators, weapon systems, engine cores. Every shot had a purpose. Vorthak ships began to go dark across their formation, not destroyed, but disabled, drifting helplessly in space as their systems failed one by one. Sergeant Rodriguez led her boarding parties against the disabled vessels. Her Marines moved through Vorthak ships like ghosts, appearing wherever they were least expected. The enemy couldn't predict where humans would strike next. How do they know our ship layout so precisely? Demanded a captured Vorthak officer. Rodriguez checked her tablet, which showed every detail of Vorthak vessel construction. We study our enemies, she said simply. While you were conquering helpless planets, we were learning everything about your technology. The battle shifted as more human boarding parties took control of enemy ships. Vorthak vessels turned their weapons on their own fleet, now under human command. The Empire's numerical advantage melted away. Captain Mitchell coordinated the assault from her captured battleship. This is Commandeered Vessel Death's Head to all human forces. We have control of their heavy weapons. Beginning support fire. The massive Vorthak cannons, now controlled by humans, tore into the enemy formation. Ships that had survived human fighters couldn't stand against their own heavy weapons. General Crew X watched his empire crumble around him. Ship after ship fell to human tactics. His crews surrendered, rather than face boarding parties. His captains begged for permission to retreat. Sir, Admiral Vex said quietly, perhaps we should consider terms. The humans fight with impossible skill. Our losses are catastrophic. Crew X's armor plates rattled with rage. Never. We are the Vorthak Empire. We do not surrender to lesser species. He opened a channel to the human fleet. Admiral Torres, you may have defeated this battle group, but my empire spans dozens of worlds. We will return with 10 times this number of ships. Your precious little planet will burn for this insult. Torres's reply came immediately, and his voice carried a coldness that made Crew X step back from his communicator. General, Torres said, you still don't understand what you're dealing with. We're not here to win a battle. We're here to end a threat. The human admiral paused, and when he spoke again, his words carried the promise of extinction. You see, General, humans have a saying. When someone threatens innocent people, you don't just stop them. You make sure they can never threaten anyone ever again. Crew X felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. What are you talking about? Your empire ends today, Torres replied. Not just your fleet. Your entire civilization. You've spent centuries proving that the galaxy is better off without you in it. The general looked at his tactical display. More than half his ships were disabled or destroyed. The humans had turned his own vessels against him. His mighty empire was being dismantled by a handful of Deathworlders. You cannot destroy an entire empire. Torres's laugh was like ice breaking. General, we're humans. We've been destroying entire civilizations since before we left our home planet. The only difference is, this time, it's for a good cause. Ambassador Kim listened to the transmission with mixed feelings. The humans were saving her people, but their methods were terrifying. They didn't just defeat enemies. They erased them. Are we right to celebrate this? Elder Zephys asked. The humans fight for us, but they seem as dangerous as the Vorthak. Kim thought about the difference. The Vorthak kill for pleasure and profit. The humans kill to protect others. That may not seem like much, but it is everything. Asen. The final phase of the battle began as human ships surrounded the remaining Vorthak vessels. There would be no escape, no retreat, no mercy for those who had shown none. General Cruex made one last desperate attempt. If you destroy us, other empires will unite against you. They will fear human power. Ribe. Torres's response ended any hope of survival. Good, the human admiral said. Let them fear us. Let every would-be conqueror in the galaxy know what happens when they threaten innocent people. Let them understand that humanity will cross any distance, face any odds, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The last Vorthak ships fell silent. The empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries died in the space around Serenity Prime. Cruex sat in his damaged command chair, surrounded by the wreckage of his ambitions. The humans had not just defeated him. They had made him irrelevant. Why? He asked the empty space where his empire had been. We were strong. We were mighty. How did we lose to one small planet? No answer came. The Deathworlders had spoken with actions instead of words, and their message was clear. Some lines should never be crossed, and humanity was the consequence for those who tried. 3 months after the battle, Serenity Prime looked different. The crystal spires still caught the light like diamonds, but now human ships patrolled the sky above them. The floating gardens drifted between towers that housed both Kythera and human workers, rebuilding what the war had damaged. Ambassador Yuna Kim stood in the new diplomatic center, watching human engineers help repair the city's infrastructure. The Deathworlders worked with surprising gentleness, treating Kythera architecture like precious art. They are not what I expected, Elder Zephys said beside her. I thought beings from a death world would be crude and violent. Instead, they show more care for our culture than we do ourselves. Kim nodded. She had spent weeks learning about human society since the battle. They were a species of contradictions, capable of terrible violence against their enemies, but infinite kindness toward those under their protection. Admiral Torres entered the chamber, his uniform bearing new decorations from Earth's grateful governments. The man who had orchestrated the destruction of an entire empire looked tired but satisfied. The trials are complete, he reported. The surviving Vorthak officers have been sentenced according to galactic law. Those who participated in genocide will face justice. Those who can prove they opposed their empire's methods will be relocated to rehabilitation worlds. Kim felt relief at his words. Even in victory, the humans had shown restraint. They could have simply executed every Vorthak they captured. But instead, they had insisted on proper trials. What about General Cruex? She asked. Torres's expression hardened slightly. He chose execution over facing his victims' families. Perhaps the first wise decision he ever made. Dr. Chenwei entered the room carrying a stack of data tablets. The man who had first heard the Kythera's desperate call now served as Earth's first interstellar diplomat. The galactic response has been interesting, he reported. 17 peaceful species have requested protection agreements with Earth. 6 aggressive empires have announced they will respect human territorial claims, and the Galactic Council has invited humanity to join as a permanent member. Torres looked surprised. That was faster than expected. Chen smiled. News travels quickly in space. The story of how 47 human ships destroyed a 2,000 ship empire has spread across the galaxy. Every species wants to know more about the Deathworlders who fight for others. Kim accessed her communication terminal and brought up reports from across known space. The effect of the Vorthak defeat was rippling through galactic civilization. The hegemony has withdrawn from 3 border disputes, she read. The Corsair fleets have avoided 17 systems they previously raided. The Blood Moon Syndicate has announced they will limit their activities to uninhabited space only. Elder Zephys looked amazed. They fear us now. They fear what humanity might do if they repeat Vorthak mistakes. Undersea. Torres shook his head. They don't fear us, they fear the consequences of their choices. That's different. He moved to the observation window, looking out at the mixed human and Kythera crews working together below. Fear alone wouldn't accomplish this. What we've created here is something new. An understanding that some behaviors have permanent consequences. Captain Mitchell joined them, fresh from her assignment training Kythera self-defense forces. The gentle species had asked to learn basic military skills. Not for conquest, but to protect themselves. How goes the training? Torres asked. Mitchell smiled. They're natural strategists. Their analytical minds adapt quickly to tactical thinking. Give them another year, and they'll be able to defend themselves against most threats. Kim appreciated the irony. The Kythera were learning warfare from the humans who had saved them, but instead of becoming conquerors, they were becoming protectors of other peaceful species. We have an interesting proposal from the Helix Confederation, Chen added. They want to establish a joint peacekeeping force, human ships and crews, but commanded by a council of peaceful species. Something to discourage future Vorthaks before they start their campaigns. Torres considered this. A standing fleet to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Earth would support that, but we'd want guarantees. It would never be used for conquest. Already covered, Chen replied. The charter specifically states it can only be used for defense of non-military species and humanitarian missions. Kim felt hope growing in her hearts. The galaxy was changing, becoming safer for peaceful civilizations. All because one species had answered a desperate call for help. There's something else, she said. We've been analyzing the old galactic databases, trying to understand how empires like the Vorthak gained so much power. Said, she activated a holographic display showing galactic history. For thousands of years, the pattern was the same. Aggressive species conquered peaceful ones because peaceful species couldn't fight back. The strong preyed on the weak, and no one could stop them. Torres studied the display. Until now. Exactly, Kim continued. Humanity has broken the pattern. For the first time in galactic history, there is a species powerful enough to stop the predators, but moral enough to protect the innocent. Elder Zephys raised a question that had been troubling him for weeks. But what happens when Earth itself becomes corrupted by power? What happens if humanity becomes the next Vorthak Empire? The room fell silent. It was a fair question, Loaders, one that many species across the galaxy were asking. Torres answered slowly, choosing his words carefully. That's why we need partners like you. The Kythera, the peaceful species we're working with. Your job is to remind us why we fight. To keep us focused on protection instead of conquest. He turned to face them all. Humans are dangerous. We know that better than anyone. We've spent our entire history fighting each other. But we've also learned something important. The strongest among us must protect the weakest, or strength itself becomes meaningless. Mitchell nodded. That's why we came when you called. Not because we wanted to build an empire, but because someone needed help. And we could provide it. Kim felt tears forming in her large eyes. These Deathworlders, these predators from a world that bred killers, had traveled across the void to save people they had never met. And now they were working to make sure no one would ever need saving again. The galaxy is changing, she said. Because humanity answered our call. Because you chose to help instead of ignore us. Everything is different now. Torres looked out at the city below, where human and alien children played together in the rebuilt gardens. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all anyone can ask for. A chance to make things better than they were before. Dr. Chen activated his communicator as new messages arrived from Earth. More requests for protection agreements. The Spiral Arm Alliance wants to discuss joint research projects. And the Academy of Sciences is asking permission to establish a branch here on Serenity Prime. Kim smiled. I think we can accommodate that. After all, knowledge shared between species will only make us all stronger. Admiral Torres prepared to leave for his next assignment. Another distant system had sent a distress call, and Earth was responding as it always would. Not with conquest in mind, but with the simple understanding that when someone calls for help. Will we see you again? Kim asked. Torres paused at the door. Ambassador, humanity has learned something important from all this. We're not alone in the galaxy anymore. We have friends, allies, people who depend on us. That means we'll always be here when you need us. He smiled, and for a moment the terrifying admiral who had destroyed an empire looked like what he truly was, a protector watching over those he cared about. After all, he added, that's what friends do. As the human ships departed for their next mission, Kim stood at her window watching them disappear into the stars. The galaxy was safer now because one species had decided that protecting others was worth any price. The age of unopposed conquest was over. The age of protected peace had begun. And somewhere in the void between stars, other peaceful species would sleep better, knowing that if they ever needed help, if they ever faced extinction, they could send out a signal across the darkness. And the Deathworlders would answer.